A stretch forming is a process in which a desired shape is obtained by stretching a sheet blank or extrusion section over a tool surface while applying a tensile stress. It is a manufacturing process well suited to the fabrication of parts which are convex in nature, with relatively low level of bending. This often makes stretch forming the process of choice in the aircraft industry for manufacturing of large open shapes such as wing leading edge and engine cowlings. An advantage of this process is that only one die is needed. The deformed sheet is clamped with two CNC controllable grippers which determine the trajectory of deformation of the clamp sheet relative to the die. There are four steps for stretch forming of leading edge. The first steps are the sheet is wrapped around the die without any contact with the die by moving the grippers toward each other. The second is the grippers are moved down until the sheet touches the die. The third step, the sheet is stretched plastically around the die until the sheet and the die are completely in contact. And final step are extra strains are induced in the sheet by moving the grippers vertically downwards in order to minimize the effect of the spring.
Stress forming process. Stress forming is a metal forming process in which a piece of sheet metal is stretched and bent simultaneously over a die in order to form a large contact part. Stress forming is performed on a stress press in which a piece of sheet metal is securely gripped along its edges by gripping jaws. The gripping jaws are each attached to a carrier that is pulled by pneumatic or hydraulic force to stretch the sheet. The tooling used in the process is a stress form block called a form die, which is a solid contact piece against which the sheet metal will be pressed. The most common stress presses are oriented vertically, in which the form die rests on a press table that can be raised into the sheet by a hydraulic ram. As the form die is driven into the sheet, which is gripped tightly at its edges, the tensile force increases and the sheet practically deforms into a new shape. Horizontal stress press mount the form die sideways on a stationary press table, while the gripping jaws pull the sheet horizontally around the form die. Here's an example of how forming process happen.
The strain distribution is depends on the layer of the properties. In a homogeneous isotropic layer, such as uniform sandstones or limestones bed, the strain distribution at the outer arc is separated by a layer parallel compression field with the inner arc by a neutral surface along the arc, which there is totally no strain. Just like on my left, this model of strain distribution is called tangential longitudinal strain. On the other hand, a homogeneous anisotropic layer such as a well-bedded shell may folded by bedding parallel slip, which results in the strain distributions. This is known as flexural flow, just like on my left. This kind of strain is happen or occurs if the shear strain is parallel uniformly across the layer, and flexural slip folding if it is concentrated along the distinct bedding plane.
Alright, I will explain about calculation method of stretch forming. The use of the complex shape profile parts is very frequent in automobile and aircraft industries. A general manufacturing process is the stretch forming of a rectilinear workpiece over a die. This presentation proposes a simplified method to model and simulate the stretch forming process of 3D profiles. The profile is represented as a curved beam, complying with the Bernoulli's hypothesis. This simplified model takes into account the forming limits related to the defect appearance, which is fractures and wrinkles, allow finding to the laws of the profile and displacement and the forces to be applied. The simplified simulation method is being confirmed by the comparison with the results of the infinite element analysis. The highly reduced calculation time and the ordinary necessary computer resources authorize the joint utilization of this simulation, software and software controlling the stretch forming process. Okay. So this is the formula of the stretch forming process, which is F equal to YS plus UTS divided by 2 and times A. Okay, F is represent as stretch forming force, YS equal to represent as material yield strength, UTS represented as ultimate tensile strength of the material, and A represent as cross-sectional area in the workpiece. So there will be two example of force calculation.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Muhammad Fazrin Asrin. So, in this video, I will explain about multi-stage uniaxial tension test. The process design approach for multi-stage stretch forming was proposed by combining the strain distribution method and finite element method, which is FEM, to determine the minimum stage number and deformation amount of each stage. The strain distribution method was used to calculate the deformation amount of each stage and evaluate the formability through a safety criterion. FE simulation was taken as an analysis tool to reveal the deformation behavior, to predict the strain counter, and to determine the process parameter at each stage. To evaluate the effect of heat treatment after pre-strain on occurrence of deformation of defects during the subsequent deformation, a multi-stage uniaxial tension test for 2B06 aluminum alloy sheet was carried out. A case study demonstrates that the approach has high reliability and good practicability. So this is the picture of multi-stage uniaxial tension test. For picture A shown about the in-plane pristaining, and the picture B shown about out-of-plane stretch forming for LDH test.
In conclusion, the main objective of this work was to develop and use a suitable numerical model for the finite element analysis of the stretch forming of aircraft skin parts with intermediate heat treatments. An important part of the numerical model is the modeling of the material behavior. Both the hardening behavior and during the stretching process and the reduction of the hardening behavior during the heat treatment process are considered. Thank you. That's all from us.